Speaking Leader, Unit 8, Leadership. Task. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for inviting me along. I've had 3 splendid days looking at your labs, your workshops, your ideas, the different departments. I'll be frank with you, this is the truth. I'm impressed. But like any organisation, first impressions need not be the correct ones. And I have formed some opinions. And what I'd like to do is to put these to you so that you can consider the kind of approach I would prefer to take. Obviously, I'm not going to be dictating to you if you appoint me as CEO. But some thoughts I've had, and we can discuss them afterwards. I'm quite happy to do that. So I went right through all the units: research, marketing, human resources, production, engineering and development, product management, and legal, policy and ethics. And 2 things emerged from that. And this is one of my major points. You guys are, I wouldn't say driven, but you're focused, and that's what I prefer to driven, because driven can show stress. But you're focused. You're focused on the job. You're focused on developing well. You're focused on growing the company. And I think that's brilliant. I think microintelligence has the potential for growth. But what else did I find? Each unit independently is doing great work. But I don't think you're communicating with each other as well as you could, so that we have a joint forward mission. You've all heard of the silo effect, where a group come together, they're driven, they bond, they have a mission, but they try to protect themselves from all the others. And I'm afraid that AI, IT, all of those things are developing so rapidly nowadays, we can't leave it to the silo effect, where research and development are working away, doing wonderful work, but not communicating it, say, to engineering and development or to product management. So one of the things that I really, really think we could do better is to communicate with each other. And that means setting up a small structure. I don't want overheads, and I'm talking as though I'm getting the job, but I don't want all the overheads of paperwork and bureaucracy. But I think 5-10 minutes every couple of days, where we have a quick prayer meeting, let's call it, and we get together, each head of department speaks for 1 minute. Everybody's ideas are put forward, new ideas particularly. So I think if we can get together there, that would be wonderful for our whole mission. And of course, the big focus, customer service, customer protection. And I'm going to be coming on to that in a minute. Now, 2 words that are bandied about when you get leaders. I'm going to be a bit contentious. Empathy and humility. Well, empathy, I think we all need that. If we have no empathy, you're in trouble. But it doesn't mean bending over backwards, because when you're the leader, and you and the board and the different heads of departments have to lead, sometimes you lead from the front, sometimes it's consensual, you delegate, but people have to take responsibility, and I think that's a key word. Humility, you've probably already gathered, I'm not very humble. I think it's an overused word, because if you're humble, too humble, you get driven over. So I'm laying my cards on the table. What I want to focus on is the mission and the customers, how we can grow. And the other thing to remember is not just a growth mindset, but impact. Now, what do I mean by impact? What I mean is that people don't say, oh, they're not bad. It's how can they affect the world? How can they improve people? And I think we have the capacity nowadays with the developments in AI. I think we have the capacity to grow, but to have an impact on people. And that brings me to 5 points. I'll spend a tiny bit of time on each one. Obviously, we'll have to think about it, talk about it afterwards. When we look at the legal department, great job. When we look at policy development, doing a great job. When we look at the ethics section, doing a great job. But there's always conflict for interest, or conflict of interest, because the legal department are protecting us. And sometimes they're looking for ways that we can get around obstacles. I see you're all nodding. Yeah. That can clash with policy. Because from what you've told me in the last 3 days, your policy is to move forward, to have an impact, to grow, to develop, and to be a force for good in the world. And I'm going to be coming on to that now. Ethics is sometimes that the conscience in the background saying, should we really be doing this? And it can conflict with policy, and it can conflict with the legal side. You're not going to like this, departmental heads. I don't expect a smile from you. But I would suggest that one of the things we really ought to consider seriously to get rid of the silo effect, to get rid of conflict of interest, is to merge legal department, policy department, and the ethics department. You should become one, talking to each other all the time, bonding and assisting each other, not preventing each other from going forward, because it can be a big obstacle, and we're moving forward quickly because AI is developing so quickly.